Okay, I'm nervous. Obviously, I thought that this was going to be the way that I'm going to start my speech, but I actually am quite nervous. But you know what? That's okay. It just means that I care. It means that this event matters to me, that I want to maybe have an impact on you guys, or maybe just be eloquent in my speech and then go home and forget all about it. But either way, emotions are natural, right? It's what make us human. Without them, life would be really boring. It's really just about this roller coaster of things that we're feeling and that we're supposed to feel so that we can enjoy things. And okay, sometimes we feel nervous or sad or whatever, but then sometimes we feel happy or excited or heck, even in love. But what does that matter, right? I'm nervous, so what do I do with it? That's the idea, right? What I do with the fact that I'm nervous. I have two options, or okay, maybe now less of two options. I had two options. I could just run away home, invoke a personal reason, and just skip the speech altogether. Or I could face the fact that I'm nervous and come up here and speak to you guys, right? Say you're racing, you're in the final lap, you're leading the race, and there's someone behind you that in the last lap just dive bombs you and crashes you out. Now, obviously, this particular example is probably not going to apply to most of you, maybe with one exception. But when that happens, you're bound to get frustrated, angry, disappointed, right? Even in that scenario, you have like maybe two options. You get out of the car and you punch the other guy, or you just accept that this happened. You accept the fact that you're angry, sad. You learn whatever you can and you move on. And you hope that next time it's not going to happen. So, why am I telling you all this? I'm telling you all this because at the end of the day, it's your choice. You choose what to do regardless of what it is that you are feeling. Again, emotions are natural, but you have the freedom to do whatever you want with them. You have the freedom so that your action becomes what you want it to be. So, I'm going to share a few tips and tricks with you guys that you can use so that this can actually happen. And the first thing is enhancing your self awareness. Why am I speaking about self awareness? Well, the moment you understand what is happening to you and you manage to recognize the exact moment when you start to feel something, that gives you time. I told you you have the freedom to choose. But when you start feeling angry, I'm sure it has happened to many of you that you got angry and you kind of got lost and you started picking a fight with someone and then it just derailed. And at some point, you have no idea what is happening anymore, right? You're talking about something completely different and it was just all in the turmoil of your fury. But when you manage to be aware and recognize the moment when you start feeling angry, that gives you time to choose how you act, to choose what you're going to say, to choose what you are going to do next. So I told you self-awareness is important. So how can we actually enhance it? I will just tell you two simple things that you can do. One of them is, well, practice. Take 5 minutes every day to just sit with yourself. Just stay there and try to focus on your own thoughts, on your own feelings. Try to understand exactly what is happening in your mind at that moment and be with yourself. Then another thing that you can do, again, this is going to take just 5 minutes, right? The other thing is just look back at past experiences. Try to find moments that created high intensity emotions, that generated those fires within you. And just ask yourself a few questions. What was the situation that made me feel that way? How intense was the emotion? What did it make me think about? And how did I act? The moment you start to understand these things about yourself, it's so much easier to recognize them when they start happening again. If they happened before, they are bound to happen again, right? Because we already have our personalities shaped. We are already functioning in a certain way. That doesn't mean we cannot change, obviously, but it just means that if we recognize some patterns, it's so much easier to correct what we do with them in the future. So that's on self-awareness, right? But another trick, one that we actually use a lot more in sports settings and performance settings, is focus. Why focus? Well, attention is a limited resource, right? We only have so much of it. So when you put all your attention onto something, that leaves no more room for something else. For example, for those of you who are scrolling at the moment or are chatting to the people around you, don't get me wrong, I don't mind, honestly. You do whatever you want. But for those of you, you're just quickly switching your attention. You're not fully engaged. You're not fully focused on what I am saying. You're catching some words and then you're kind of making up the rest of it, right? Because again, you're quickly switching your attention. So how do we train the focus? Again, first thing, practice. Like in everything, one of the speakers before talked about discipline, right? And perseverance as being kind of a muscle. And I totally agree with that because practice makes perfect, right? So even with attention, you just need to practice. One of our later speakers is Teodora. She's going to be speaking about art and about how we don't really take our time to look at things anymore, to actually get involved in what we're doing. So what exercise I'm proposing to you is to take 5 minutes, again, just 5 minutes of your day. Choose something that you want to focus on. It may be a piece of art if you're actually interested in that, because it's going to make it a bit more interesting. And just try to keep all your attention on that. Set yourself a timer for 5 minutes and just try to look and focus only on one particular thing. Now, your mind is going to drift, for sure. Your mind, at least in the beginning, it's going to drift maybe 1,000 times during those 5 minutes. But just try to catch your attention running and gently bring it back. Every time you notice that your mind started drifting, you bring it back. Say you're looking at a painting and you start thinking about, I don't know, the movie that you were watching yesterday or how bored you've just become in this 5 minutes. Well, bring back your attention the moment you notice. And you'll see that in time, you're actually going to get better and better at this. So it's just going to become easier and your mind is going to drift a lot less. Then you can also do another thing. When you're in a setting with a lot of people, for example, you can choose something that you want to notice. Say, everyone dressed in, I don't know, white. And then while you're doing an activity, say you're at the airport and you're actually not really doing anything, you're just running around, try to keep your eye on everyone that is wearing white and just count. It's a very good attention exercise. And another trick is to find what we call attentional anchors, cues that are important for each task that you engage in. Now, in sporting settings, they're a bit easier to find, right? For racers, they can be, well, what I advise my drivers in the beginning is for the first few laps, because I mostly work with circuit drivers, I advise them that for the first 2 or 3 laps, maybe, just focus on the physical sensation that they're perceiving. So just keep as much of their focus as possible on the bodily sensations so that they understand exactly how the car is behaving. Now, obviously, in other sorts of settings, proprioception is not going to be maybe that relevant. But for studying, for example, you can still find anchors, you can still find cues that can help you, such as, I don't know, highlighting or asking yourself questions at the end of each page. Or maybe a cue could be that every time that the topic changes, you change your posture. That also engages your body a bit, and it's going to make your mind more active. You're going to be instantly a lot more focused and deliberately paying attention to what you're doing, because you've given yourself a task, you've given yourself something to look out for, right? Okay, so basically, in order to fully perform or to win at whatever, I'm not the person who is going to tell you that results are important. I'm going to tell you that your own personal growth is what matters. So when I say win, I mean just win at life, right? Actually love your life and love whatever it is that you're doing. So to win and to be able to perform and maximize everything that you are doing, you can first be self-aware, so you can understand the inception of every emotion. So then you can use all your resources to put your focus onto what it is that you want. And that is kind of a quick recipe so that you all guys can perform and win at whatever it is that you're doing. Thank you.